Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Just Another Talk. And judging by the thumbnail, there might be some trigger warnings. Well, I should start off with trigger warning. There might be some people who lose their stuff because Trump's not playing no more. Um, and apparently it started yesterday. I could be wrong, but let's find out. I know I woke up to Washington D.C. trending, so now I'm like, uh-oh, like what's going on in Washington D.C.? How about we figure that out together? And let's start off with this young lady who looks very informed and knows exactly what's going on. Let's go ahead and watch her video.
Homeless in DC right now, you need to get the fuck out immediately. Trump just put out a tweet saying that they are going to be rounding all y'all up in the next day or two and putting everybody in tent cities. Pretty sure that just means concentration camps.
Tent cities?
Like Alligator Alcatraz.
Alligator
if
Alcatraz?
you are in downtown DC, get to the suburbs, get to another state. This is just the beginning, guys. They are going to start rolling this out in other places. This is their plan for the homeless. He has made homelessness illegal nationwide. And this is the first roundup they're going to be doing. And this will probably start being rolled out in other areas pretty soon. But they're starting with DC first. So if you are living on the streets in DC, I would disappear.
Guys.
As soon as fucking possible, by any means possible.
Like soon.
If you are homeless in DC...
Alright, let me stop the satire. So, she's partly not wrong, but then she's also exaggerating a little bit. And so just to go to what Trump said, we're gonna go ahead and look at this Truth, I think it's called, right? From Truth Social, which is basically, he says, Washington D.C. will be liberated today. Crime, savagery, filth, and scum will disappear. I will make our capital great again. The days of ruthless killing or hurting innocent people are over. I quickly fixed the border, 0 illegals in the last 3 months. DC is next. Thank you for your attention to this matter. President DJT. Okay, maybe I don't, let's see what did he do? So I googled this a little bit ahead of time. I put, is homelessness made illegal by Trump? I should have put was homelessness, but yeah, semantics, guys. Come on, bear with me. So it says Trump did not make homelessness itself illegal at the federal level. However, in July 2025, which was last month, we're in August now, he signed an executive order intended to make it easier for state and local governments to remove homeless individuals from the streets and encourage treatment or placement in institutions, even involuntary in some cases. Okay, so, I mean, if you're homeless, if you're recurring homeless, there's an issue. I mean, I understand people do face homelessness. I understand that there are a lot of reasons why people become homeless, not just the fact that they are addicted to a substance, or not just the fact that they are less than, or just criminals and things like that. I can definitely understand that. But if you've ever walked, let me not say but, because that invalidates everything that came before. However, if you have ever walked the streets of New York City, Seattle, DC, even parts of Florida and LA, which I've done, I would say 3 out of those 5, Seattle, New York, Florida, and I haven't been to LA or DC. Well, I've been to DC, but when I went to DC, I didn't see that much of an issue. Then again, I did only stay near the monuments, and that also was almost 10 years ago now. But regardless, New York, I was there recently in 2024, September to be exact. Florida is where I live. So I know what the issue is out here. I've seen it firsthand. And Seattle, I was also in Seattle in 2023. So it's 2 years ago now, but it was pretty bad. I mean, Seattle was probably the worst out of all the cities that I've been to. In Seattle, I saw this guy standing up. He was holding on to a lamppost, and his pants were not just sagging, but they were down to his thighs, and he was defecating on the sidewalk. Like, I'm dead serious. Like, I'd never seen that in my life, and I spent a lot of time in New York. I was born in New York. You know, part of my childhood I spent in New York. I spent most of my summers in New York growing up, and so it was just a shocking fact. Not to mention that I also lived in Rhode Island, which Rhode Island is a sanctuary city, and you do see a lot of the homeless community. And more specifically, if I'm not mistaken, in Rhode Island, they built a place where they used federal funds to build a local community. My bad. To build a local community, where then they went ahead and, excuse me, they built a community of small houses for the homeless, which I don't have a problem with. I think we should figure out a way how to fix this problem. There are two sides of this extreme. One is, let's, house them first and then worry about their issues later, and then the other would be, hey, just, throw them in an insane asylum, or just immediately push them to the boundary of the city. I don't agree with either of those. I think there's a middle ground that we all can agree on, and we can all say, hey, this is probably what's best, but something has to be done because it is getting out of hand. Now, let's go back to this quick Google. I wouldn't say it's an article, but it's from, it's the AI overview. So it says shifting focus and funding. The order is aimed to shift federal resources and policy emphasis away from housing first strategies, which I did say, which prioritize providing housing without requiring immediate treatment, towards approaches prioritizing treatments and sobriety before or alongside housing. Exactly. Like, you can give someone you can give someone a house, but if they're not sober, they're not really going to use it for the best things. I think we got to figure out programs that would work for people who are dealing with these issues. Let's see. Encouraging enforcement. The executive order encourages cities and states to take a tougher stance on activities often associated with homelessness in public spaces, such as camping, loitering, and open drug use. I don't see an issue with those three: camping, loitering, and open drug use. That's something that I think needs to be dealt with immediately. I'm sure all of us, if you're watching this for the first time or if you've watched me before, you know, in your city, I'm sure you have seen issues like this, where you have these places that are filled with homeless people. And again, not that all homeless people are bad, because I don't believe that, but you have these areas that not only don't have law enforcement, but they're riddled with drugs, they're riddled with a lot of issues that lead to bigger problems. I saw it in Rhode Island. I've seen it here in Florida. I've seen it in New York. And I think I only spent like about a week, almost 2 weeks in Seattle, but I could see the issues from afar of what could happen from being around certain things. Let's see. Promoting involuntary commitment. The order also aims to facilitate the involuntary civil. Wait a sec. Yep. Blah, blah, blah. The order also aimed to facilitate the involuntary civil commitment of homelessness individuals deemed a risk to themselves or others, and directly encourage directly directing. Wow, learn how to read, buddy. Directing these individuals towards treatment centers or other facilities. I think a prime example of this is the guy in New York, that was on the subway, and this soldier tackled him, ended up killing him because he put him in a chokehold. Now, the guy was known to the community for, being not all there in the head, regardless of whatever term you want to use. And that's a prime example of someone who could have used this kind of help. And regardless of them being like, I don't need it, or whatever the case, their opposition to being helped in this format doesn't really, I hate saying doesn't matter, because then I sound like, well, I don't care about them. But sometimes people can't make their own best decisions. They don't make the best decision. And so, back to the point of the soldier who choked out the guy on the subway, the guy was threatening people, and he was known in the neighborhood. he was known to be like that. He was known to do Michael Jackson impressions. He was known, and he got no help until one day he's threatening people. Someone responded to his threats, and unfortunately, he passed away. And I don't necessarily agree with the categorization of what the gentleman who was trying to prevent from him attacking anybody. I don't agree with the categorization that he was just, he's a racist guy and all this other stuff that he was portrayed as, and he was found innocent. I forget the guy's name. What was it? What's this guy's name? I got now I want to know his name. What was it? This is the best way I could put it. White guy choked black homeless guy on train. What's his name? Jordan Neely. There you go. A black homeless man. Yep. And it was Daniel Penny. Yeah, there you go. So Daniel Penny was the guy who choked out the homeless dude, because he was being aggressive. Now, this from the Google overview, at least, the executive order is trying to avoid these situations, which I, as a reasonable person, can say, okay, it's not a bad idea. Could it have been executed in better ways? I mean, we don't really know. The issue in America of homelessness has been rampant for years, so maybe this was the only way that it could happen right now. No one else had done anything to it. You see, California spent over $1 billion on homeless, and they did absolutely nothing. They have more homeless people than they did before. So again, it's scandalous for sure. But is this those what is it, alligator Alcatraz, like the young lady said? Not so much. So let's read this last part. Targeting homeless encampments. The order sought to empower local authorities to remove homeless encampments, potentially through law enforcement or other means. I'm curious what other means are. I really am. All right, so let's see. Important consideration. Homelessness is not inherently illegal. While certain activities often associated with homelessness, like sleeping in public or loitering, may be prohibited by local ordinances, being homeless in itself is not a crime under federal law. Concerns about criminalization. Critics argue that such policies effectively criminalize homelessness by targeting the behaviors necessary for survival when people have nowhere else to go. Advocates often point out that these measures can worsen the problem by creating barriers to employment and housing, according to the National Coalition of Homelessness. I can see that perspective, and I'm willing to even grant that I can see there being issues with using law enforcement to remove encampments. I can see the issue with not allowing encampments in certain areas of the city. But if we look at where these encampments are or have been, none of them are in places where you can say are not causing an issue. Anytime I've seen an encampment is usually somewhere where it can easily cause an issue. Now, I'm not saying that we eliminate them completely, but again, back to my, logical argument, which is what I think people are missing from this, is can we figure out a place where we can make it work, where even if you're homeless and you have a tent you want to set up, fine. Where we have social workers that go to that area and say, hey, how can we help you? What can we do? What are your problems? Where we have these mobile clinics that are already out there that are, instead of passing out needles and helping people use drugs, help them try to not use drugs. Because again, back to my previous point, someone who is rampantly using drugs and doesn't have the sheer willpower or willingness to get off them on their own and is homeless because of these drug issues aren't going to have the ability to remove themselves from this situation. They're going to need help. And I see this as partly help. Let's read this last point. The debate over housing first versus treatment. The shift in federal focus sparked debate about the most effective approaches to address homelessness, with some advocating for housing first and others emphasizing the need for sobriety and mental health treatment as what? Prerequisite? Oh, look at me. Prerequisite for housing. So let's look at some of these some of these articles, see if we can find one. This is National Homelessness Law Center. It's a .org, guys. This has got to be, it's got to be someone's got to be independent. All right, everybody needs a safe place to live across America. Sky high tents and both are both leading causes of homelessness and primary cause of financial stress for families. Instead of helping people who are struggling to make ends meet, Donald Trump remains focused on backwards, expensive, and ineffective policies that make homelessness worse. The National Homeless Law Center strongly condemns today's executive order, which deprives people of their basic rights and makes it harder for them to solve homelessness. Okay, so I mean, maybe they're right. Let's read on a little bit. Specifically, this order expands the use of police and institutionalization to respond to homelessness, prioritize funding the states that treat homelessness as a crime and housing-based solutions, cuts off funding for life-saving programs like harm reduction. Who am I to say this? But again, this is one of those things where it's like, are you saying they're doing that, or is that your categorization of the acts that are going on that you think it's saving or it's cutting, uh harm reduction programs, right? Because I'll give you an example. Because if you consider one of these programs as harm reduction by providing people who shoot certain drugs with needles, right? You consider that a harm reduction program for whatever reason. It reduces, let's just say, plays devil's advocate, it reduces transmitted diseases, it reduces the issue of certain of these people who are using drugs to have to go and find a place to dispose of the needle, or find things like, for example, being in places like abandoned buildings and, people dying of overdoses and all these things, right? You consider that a harm reducing program. I consider you handing out the needles to be harm causing. We should be trying to figure out how to get them off, not allow them to do what they. And see, this is where the tricky part is, because then it's like, oh, you don't want them to do these things? Well, it's a free country. It's like, yeah, but at the same, it's like, where do we draw the line where it's a free country? Like, abusing a harmful substance that has led you to homelessness, I think at that point you can kind of categorize it as like, all right, this might not be the best thing for you or the rest of the community. I don't know. Maybe I'm too logical. Maybe I'm illogical. I don't know. Tell me in the comments, guys. I really want to know what you guys think, because for me, that last one really kind of bugs me, because it just feels like a mischaracterization of what is really going on. Today's executive order, combined with the MAGA budget cuts for housing and healthcare, will increase the number of people forced to live in tents in their cars and on the streets. The order does nothing to lower the cost of housing or help people make ends meet. The safest communities are those with the most housing and resources, not those that make it a crime to be poor or sick. It's like, yeah, I mean, that's a perfect example. If you're saying the person is sick, like, let's get him some help. Which is part of what, it said it right at the beginning of the AI overview, that it's like it's gonna, force, which is that's a crazy term, but it's gonna have people get help whether they want to or not. And I don't know, it's one of those topics, man, where it's easy to go back and forth, and there's a lot of things on the internet where it's like, what is going on? But regardless, this live is about figuring out what's going on, not me trying to, debunk things or not debunk things or say things are bad or whatever. I'll make another episode for that. Let's see. Sadly, but not surprising, Trump continues to focus on deeply unpopular policies like handcuffs and jail, which hurt black and brown people, most laws and budgets that most homelessness and poverty worse. What? What was wrong? Hold on. Wait a minute. Let's go back. Which hurt black and brown people most. Laws and budgets that make homelessness and poverty worse negatively impact us all. To build truly safe, healthy, and just communities, we need housing and healthcare, not handcuffs and budget cuts. The executive order comes amidst a mass influx of laws that make it a crime to be homeless and echo Trump's earlier misinformed statements. Again, it said it wasn't. I don't know if you guys want to believe AI, but it said that it wasn't, that homelessness wasn't considered a crime. So I don't know why this article is saying that if that's not true. Now the question is it true or not? Because now we have one article that says it is true that it is a crime, while we have, you know, Google AI telling us no, it's not a crime. National Homeless Law Center is committed to protecting the rights of unhoused people across the United States and advocating for policies that prevent and end homelessness, ensuring that all people have access to safe and adequate housing. I agree. I completely agree with that. I just don't see I don't see how their thought process gets there. So as Trump signs executive order aimed at making it easier to remove homeless people from the streets. Let's let's get back to to X. Let's see what's this. Let's watch our first one. It says over. How long is this video? It's a 2-minute video. Let's pause it real quick so I can read it. It says breaking. Shots are ringing out in Washington D.C. Navy Yard, less than 1 mile from the Capitol building. Over 100 black teens have taken over the park, terrorizing the neighborhood. FBI and DHS responding now. Take over D.C. President Trump. Uh-oh. Whoa. And that was a post from August 9th. So what's today, the 11th? That's 2 days ago.
They arrested someone. He's in the car behind me. Very quick response here by transit, metro, and some federal assets. So we're down here in Navy Yard, Washington, D.C. We're photographing and filming a large group that was in this park behind me. You can see some of the leftover trash. Close to 100 people were gathered here, and we heard shots fired. I believe it was more than one. It's hard to hear in the moment. We followed police. They arrested a suspect at this place, and they recovered a firearm as well. We have seen an unbelievable amount of assets being thrown at this. You have Metro, Transit, Capitol Police, and multiple federal officials. I've seen FBI, I've seen HSI, I've seen other kinds of park police in the area. They are throwing a massive amount for this specific incident here. It's very obvious that the city has taken a slightly different posture going forwards.
The dirt bikes. Man, boys is outside. All right, let's keep going. Let's see what else we can find over here. U.S. military. This is from the New York Post. U.S. military preparing to surge National Guard troops to Washington, D.C. to fight local crime and youth violence. That's a report. Let's see what is this? You could run away to Kenya. I hear you have family there. Shut up, Joe. X is hilarious. Oh, look at this. This is 4 hours ago. Just another day in Washington, D.C. My dog stepped on this discarded needle. Thankfully, he wasn't hurt. I welcome President Trump restoring safety to our nation's capital. Yeah, that's nuts. Look at that. That's a needle. Breaking news. I don't think there's been much. What is this, Tucker Carlson?
Since January 6th, 2021, the unarmed insurrection.
Oh, this is from 2024. That's not what we're looking at right now. Let me in. See, Washington D.C. swamp creatures trying to join at real Donald Trump administration right now. See, that's from 2024 though. Oh, this is Capitol building stuff. We've seen plenty of that. The big balls dude who works for Doge. That's hilarious. All right, let's see.
So we're getting this information from multiple sources, both with Mayor Bowser and with MPD, telling us that as of 6 o'clock this evening, they strongly believe, sources both within the mayor's office and within Metro Police Department, that President Trump, come tomorrow, will deploy the National Guard along the streets of D.C. That is the information that is now coming into our newsroom about what is likely to happen tomorrow at that news conference. That, again, the president is expected to deploy the National Guard, the D.C. National Guard, in and around Washington. This, from what we're being told at this point, has never happened before and would mark a significant turn in events. But no doubt, the continuation of what has been several days of an escalation by the White House to officials in D.C. about complaints regarding crime, and even most recently, as we heard just a minute ago, about the homeless encampments that we've seen in and around the city as well. We are going to continue to work on this and monitor the situation. Orlando Donovan, no doubt gathering information around the city. But again, information into our newsroom right now suggesting that the president come tomorrow at 10 o'clock during that news conference will announce the deployment of the D.C. National Guard on the streets of Washington.
It's 10:30 right now. So that means either he's live right now or it's already happened. Let's see if we can. Let's go to. Let's see if we can find him live right now. Oh, look at this. It's live. Let's watch this. Let's go ahead and watch this, guys.
Frankly, I thought he was too generous to Muriel Bowser, the mayor of Washington, D.C., who he said is a good person, but has simply not been able to do the job. I agree with him there. But this is some.
Oh, so it's waiting soon, President Trump to hold a press conference. Oh boy. Is there a way to see that? There's 14,000 people in there. Can I see if is there a live? No, it's not a live chat. Blah blah blah. Nothing on how poorly your economy is right now. Let's see. Good. Imagine sitting in a chair, staring in the camera, and lying your ass off for a living. That's low-key crazy. Well, I'm not gonna sit here and wait until they go live. Let's just keep going and see what else we can find for today or from yesterday. Juvenile crime in DC. Let's see. Fatherless crisis in Washington D.C. 60,000 kids live in fatherless homes. 53% of all children. 77% of black births are to unmarried mothers. 83% of teens ages 15 to 17 are raised in non-intact families. Juvenile crimes are 60% of carjackings, 51% of robberies, and 21% of shootings. That's crazy. If those numbers are real, like, that's nuts. That's really nuts. You know, crime in Washington D.C. is bad when countries like Mexico are issuing travel warnings about going there. No way. No way. I don't believe this. Las autoridades de Washington D.C. han informado que los crímenes violentos y robos se han incrementado. I think is how you say that. Sustainablemente le invitamos a estar informado. That's crazy. No way. No way. I don't like, we gotta Google this. Did Mexico issue a travel? Wow, can I spell? Travel warning going to Washington, D.C. Is this real? No, there's no indication that Mexico has issued a travel warning specifically for Washington, D.C., while Mexico has issued general travel advisories for the United States, including warnings about crime and racial tensions. According to CNN, these warnings are not specific to Washington, D.C. The Mexican government's website does not highlight any specific concerns about Washington, D.C. Still, that's crazy. You would... Mexico, they didn't say specifically Washington, D.C., but they have issued, crime and racial tensions. I mean, the racial tension part, I get it. People are kind of upset, and there are some people who act stupid, so you can't really help that. But the fact that Mexico issues a travel warning, like, come on, Mexico? Like, Mexico should issue a travel warning to go to Mexico. Like, that's nuts. Focuses on Florida. Recent warnings from Mexico are focused to specific concerns in Florida related to the state's new immigration law and its potential impact on the LGBTQ community. What is that? What is... Hey, yo, Google, why you playing with me, man? Don't make me go to Gronk, bro. You gonna make me tweet at Gronk. That don't make no sense. Oh, this is Guatemala. Oh, wait a second. That says Guatemala. Why did dude put Mexico? That's Guatemala. Yeah, that says Guatemala at the bottom. That does not say Mexico. So, yeah. Let's go see what else we could find on this thread. Today's crime. What's this? What is this? Oh, they put... That's cold. Come on. Cyclists are annoying. I'm not gonna lie, but you shouldn't do that, man. That man could really get hurt. That's crazy. Crime in Washington, D.C. is at 30-year low. Trump's plan to take over D.C. is a practice run for declaring martial law. Wake up, people. We can't let him get away with destroying our country. Yeah, see, that's a wild connecting of the dots. I don't get that. How can you say all that? Oh, it looks like suppose military watching DC live. It looks like they're getting ready to speak. I wonder when Trump is coming on. Let's see if... Yeah, that doesn't make sense. Is this not live? Oh. Wait a minute. Let's go. I was a little behind. Oh. Here he goes.
Wow. I've been up here a lot. I've never seen a crowd like this. I think we need a ballroom, and that's happening. It's going to be a beautiful ballroom. This is really a lot of people, most I've ever seen in this room. And we're here for a very serious purpose, Something's out of control, but we're going to put it in control very quickly like we did on the southern border. I'm announcing a historic action to rescue our nation's capital from crime, bloodshed, bedlam, and squalor, and worse. This is Liberation Day in D.C., and we're going to take our capital back. We're taking it back. Under the authorities vested in me as the President of the United States, I'm officially invoking Section 740 of the District of Columbia Home Rule Act. You know what that is?
Nope. How about you
and
tell us?
Placing the D.C. Metropolitan Police Department under direct federal control, and you'll be meeting the people that will be directly involved with that.
Oh, boy.
Very
Federal
good people,
control.
But they're tough, and they know what's happening, and they've done it before. In addition, I'm deploying the National Guard to help reestablish law, order, and public safety in Washington, D.C., and they're going to be allowed to do their job properly. And you people are victims of it, too. You know, you're reporters, and I understand a lot of you tend to be on the liberal side, but you don't want to get mugged and raped and shot and killed.
Sheesh.
And you all know people and friends of yours that happened. And so you can be anything you want, but you want to have safety in the streets. You want to be able to leave your apartment or your house where you live and feel safe and go into a store to buy a newspaper or buy something. And you don't have that now. The murder rate in Washington today is higher than that of Bogota, Colombia, Mexico City, some of the places that you hear about as being the worst places on earth, much higher. This is much higher. The number of car thefts has doubled over the past 5 years, and the number of carjackings has more than tripled. Murders in 2023 reached the highest rate probably ever. They say 25 years, but they don't know what that means because it just goes back 25 years. Can't be worse. Our capital city has been overtaken by violent gangs and bloodthirsty criminals, roving mobs of wild youth, drugged out maniacs and homeless people. And we're not going to let it happen anymore. We're not going to take it. Just like we did on our southern border. Nobody comes through our southern border anymore. 3 months in a row, we had zero. I don't know if that's right, but the people that do the work, it's a very liberal group of people, actually, and they actually said zero for the last 3 months.
That's wild statement. He said, I don't know if that's right, but they said zero. So is it zero or is it not zero, bro? What are you talking about?
Nobody thought a thing like that was possible. And, you know, when you say take a look at numbers, I just saw some charts. These are different cities throughout the world. Red is, okay, the red is a place called Washington, D.C. Look at these. Baghdad is, we doubled up on Baghdad. Panama City, Brasilia, San Jose, Costa Rica, Bogota, Colombia, heavy drugs. Mexico City, I mentioned, Lima, Peru, all double and triple what they are. So do you want to live in places like that? I don't think so. I don't think so. And I think the people in this room, if you wrote correctly, you'd see, look at the kind of numbers we have. D.C., 41 per 100,000, number one that we can find anywhere in the world. Other cities are pretty bad, but they're not as bad as that. Is that where you want to live? The reporters of the world? Juvenile offenders and crimes against persons, as they say. It's getting worse. Not getting better, it's getting worse. And we had a recent indication. There was a story about a man who was just left. He quit because he was asked to do phony numbers on crime. And we're going to look into that. I think Pam is going to be looking into that. But he was asked by the city, I guess, that we don't want to show the real numbers. Let me do numbers so it looks like it's going down. Not going down. And under Biden, it was a disaster. And nobody did anything about it. We're going to do things about it like you wouldn't believe. Every American has a constitutional right to be able to access and petition their government in safety, and countless federal officials and employees likewise have the right to carry out their jobs in peace without being shot. As you know, I lost a very good person a while ago, was shot waiting for his wife. He was in the car. They robbed his car. They shot him. They killed him like it was nothing to it. She was walking to the car. It's a horror show. This issue directly impacts the functioning of the federal government and is a threat to America, really. It's a threat to our country. We have other cities also that are bad, very bad. You look at Chicago, how bad it is. You look at Los Angeles, how bad it is. We have other cities that are very bad.
And I think ultimately, I think that's what they're aiming for, is to use DC as an example and then run into Chicago and LA and try the same stuff, because it's bad out there. It is. And I'm not justifying this idea of using the National Guard. You know, I don't know how it's going to end up. None of us know how it's going to end up. I mean, we can assume and guess and, you know, throw out all kinds of hypotheticals, but really, who knows? But we know it's not getting any better. It's definitely getting worse.
New York has a problem. And then you have, of course, Baltimore and Oakland. We don't even mention that anymore. They're so far gone. We're not going to let it happen. We're not going to lose our cities over this. And this will go further. We're starting very strongly with D.C., and we're going to clean it up real quick, very quickly, as they say. Days ago, a former member of the DOJ staff was savagely beaten by a band of roving thugs after defending a young woman from an attempted carjacking. He was left dripping in blood. He thought he was dead with a broken nose and concussion. Can't believe that he's alive. He can't believe it.
Sheesh.
In June, a 21-year-old congressional intern was tragically killed after being hit by a stray bullet in a drive-by shooting. A former Trump administration official named Mike Gill, fantastic person, was murdered last year in cold blood in a carjacking blocks away from the White House. We all knew him. Great person. Waiting for his wife as she was walking to the car. The Democrat congressman was also carjacked at gunpoint not far from the Capitol. And in 2023, an aide to Senator Rand Paul was stabbed in the chest and head by a demented lunatic as he walked down the street, just absolutely for no reason. Horrifically, last July 4th weekend, a 3-year-old girl was shot in the head and killed while sitting in a car near the Capitol. It's becoming a situation of complete and total lawlessness. And we're getting rid of the slums, too. We have slums here. We're getting rid of them. I know it's not politically correct. You'll say, oh, so terrible. No, we're getting rid of the slums where they live. Caravans of mass youth rampage through city streets at all times of the day. There are ATVs, motorbikes. They travel pretty well. Entire neighborhoods are now under emergency curfews. Just this past weekend, gunfire went through, and you saw that, the Navy Yard. I saw it this morning. They saw that they fought back against law. See, they fight back until you knock the hell out of them, because it's the only language they understand. But they fought back against law enforcement last night.
Sheesh.
And they're not going to be fighting back long, because I've instructed them and told them whatever happens, you know, they love to spit in the face of the police as the police are standing up there in uniform. They're standing and they're screaming at them an inch away from their face, and then they start spitting in their face. And I said, you tell them, you spit and we hit, and they get hit real hard. It's a disgusting thing. I've watched that for years, for 3-4 years.
It's about to get ugly, ladies and gentlemen. If you outside, boy, you better go ahead and go get into a work program or something, because that street shit is about to be no more. If the way he's talking, you know, and I'm tied between two sides, really. Like, we have places in our country that look horrible. Like, this is Washington D.C. homeless. See if we could find some videos of some of the encampments. Trump demands homeless people immediately move out of Washington D.C. That's an encampment. Let's see if we have any other. Oh, great. Before, after. It's not a big. Look at that. That's a lot of people.
If someone says, you know, I need a free meal, okay. We have now so many there are like a regular, you know, guest. So we know them what they want to eat. You know, some of them, they have teeth problems, and we give them just boneless chicken, tender one. The alcohol and those drugs and mix, you know, a lot of people have teeth problems.
Yeah. As music, I would keep watching it, but I'm not trying to get a copyright strike. And that's, I mean, that guy's doing, you know, he's doing what he can. Smack dab in the middle of downtown DC, 9th and K Northwest, across the street from the Apple Store, the Convention Center, and the Marriott Memphis. That's nuts. Let's see what this guy.
This way you will get. Definitely concerns me a little bit, you know what I mean? But, you know, I pack that thing too. So you come around this way, you will get caught. Definitely concerns me a little bit.
Says homeless people from other states, when they hear Trump has warned homeless people in Washington, D.C. to leave immediately. I mean, you could try to fight back, homie, or you could try to better your life. It's one or the other. You want a car window? No, in D.C. Car window and no in D.C. Shaw neighborhood spotted by 7 News reporters said there's nothing of value in the car, only restaurant supplies, broken dreams. Please do not break the windows for the 5th time. Sheesh. But the crime's not that bad in DC, right? Or it's at a low. Let's see what this guy's saying. Oops.
Homeless people in America, it's time we march on DC. We take the joker over again. We show up. We show out. Yeah. Homeless people in America, it's time we march on.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Do not march on DC, guy. Do not. Let's see what else I can find here.
On crime in Washington, D.C., President Donald Trump has said that homeless people must move out of the city. The statement by Donald Trump comes despite Washington's mayor arguing that there is no current spike in crime in the capital city. While the White House has declined to explain.
What is this? Delonte. Oh, breaking. LeBron James' former NBA teammate Delonte West spotted appearing to be homeless in his hometown of Washington, D.C. That's crazy. Oh, we can't play that. I got music, so we're just gonna mute that. Part 4. That's nuts, man. That looked like Delonte too. That's crazy. I got played in the NBA. Perfect example of what drugs do. Boy played in the NBA, played alongside LeBron James, and now is a crackhead on the side of the street. I wonder why they're arresting her. Doesn't really say why.
Washington, D.C. as it relates to homelessness?
We have 221 people as of today's count who are living on the street. Those are the people that you were referring to.
Councilman Allen gave me the 5,000 number. He sent me a report that was
There are not
produced by your...
5,000 people living on the street, sir. Those may be people
There's
that
221 people living under 395. We can go right now. It's 300 yards away. What are you talking about?
I'm talking about facts, and there are not 300 people under 295 or 395. We have outreach teams that are out across all 8 wards, and we actually know.
Let's move on to the criminal code. Do you think that
those are the facts.
Your own councilman sent me a report saying 5,000 people were homeless in D.C. What do you, that's, okay, look. Do you agree that we have a major?
That's the other problem. Who do you believe? How do you believe the numbers? Unless somebody's out there reporting what's going on, you can't believe nobody's numbers. Like, what do you... who do you believe? This video is wild. This is, it says Washington, D.C. homeless uprising 2025. Hey, yo, what did I just watch? Oh my God, that's crazy. I don't know what I just watched. I can't believe I just watched that. I want to see the real homeless problem in DC. There's gotta be somebody. Let me turn my phone off, man. There's gotta be somebody who's getting videos, good videos. What's this?
Deep within the government.
You may think that that the government computers like all talk to each other, they synchronize.
Yeah, we don't care about those right now. We're trying to see what's up with this homeless people. So I don't see anything there. Let's jump over to Tiki Taki. Oops, wrong one. Where's my TikTok? Oh, it's over here. We already heard about this young lady. Let's go ahead and keep going. See what this is right now. Oh, there's music there. We can't play that. We don't want a copyright strike. It's 8/11. What's today? That was last night. That was 3 hours ago. They posted it. Yeah, they posted it 3 hours ago. This also had music, so we'll just. That looks like the National Guard, if I'm not mistaken. Who knows where they're going? This is crazy. Let's go. Let's see what.
If you are homeless.
All right. This is America. Come on, you're trying to get me kicked off of YouTube. Yo, what's going on? That's not fair.
If you are
again, all right, enough. I'm muted too. The president has. Really? Really? Thank you. President directs homeless to pack up, move out now. It is anticipated the National Guard activation may take place and will primarily serve in supportive capacity to local authorities. The precise number of guardsmen that may be activated is yet to be determined, as decision is still pending. The DC National Guards comprises of 2,700 personnel. That's still a lot of people. 2,700 people is a lot. I have a question. How did he tell them the homeless do not own TV sets? Did he yell it from the rooftop? That's a good point. I guess that's why he's bringing several thousand of the nation's guard to DC. Eviction to where exactly? Yeah, that's a good point. Like, where are they going to go? They're already homeless.
Oh, this is wild. Starting now in DC, there's an official juvenile curfew zone from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. And then a citywide curfew kicks in at 11 until 6 a.m. Yes, the whole city. And get this, tomorrow, August 11th, 2025, Trump will be holding a press conference at the White House to stop violent crimes in the Capitol. So he's hinting at bringing in the National Guard, locking up teens as young as 14 like adults, and even federalizing the city if local leaders don't fall in line. But here's the kicker. Crime in DC has actually gone down since last year, and I'll put it right here in a picture for you. Is this really about safety, politics, a soon-to-come martial law, or maybe just another excuse for racial profiling? Either way, if you're under 18 in the zone, you better be home before 8 or everyone else before 11 because DC is about to be a ghost town at night. Ooh.
I don't get it. I mean, it's not down. I don't believe that. And maybe now I'm the one who's being, conspiratorial, I think is the word. But let's go ahead and Google this. Are crime rates going down in Washington, D.C.? see what. Yes, crime rates in Washington D.C. are generally trending downward this year. Overall crime is down 7% compared to last year, with violent crime experiencing a more significant decrease of 26%. Property crime is also down by 5%. These figures are based on these figures are based on preliminary year to date. But preliminary. So is it how accurate? Again, year to date 7%. All right, we're halfway through the year. So, but is that a function of some of the things that Trump is warning to do and has already done as well? Or is that a function because it was trending down already? Like, I don't, you know, that's where I'm genuinely curious. See what the Washington Post has to say. Oh, look at that. Paywall. Nope. So then let's not see what the Washington Post has to say. Yeah, we read that question already. Let's see. What Trump claims about dangerous ones see backed by data. Yeah, are they backed by data? It's a good question. Oh my god, look at all these pop-ups. Let's go. What matters? Why Matt? Really? I don't want to sign up for Newsweek, guys. No, thank you. See on Monday on the press conference. Blah blah. What to know? According to January press release from District U.S. Attorney Office, using police data, violent crime in 2024 hit a 30-year low, while other crime, including homicides, robberies, and carjackings and assaults with a dangerous weapon, also fell. Meanwhile, according to Washington Metropolitan Police Area, violent crime is down 26% this year compared with the same period last year. Yeah, I mean, so far I haven't found anything saying that it's not down or that it's you know, it's the same or getting higher. Homicides kidnapping from 22,000. So 1,000 less in 2024. In Washington, the total number of crimes against persons was 22,000 in 2024. With the majority of those crimes, 21,000 made up of assault offenses, according to the FBI. The 10 most dangerous cities in the world by homicide rate is Mexico. That doesn't make sense. All of them are in Mexico or Ecuador. South Africa is also on the list. Huh. I don't know. Looks like maybe they're right and things are down. But if things are down, they're gonna get less. I mean, 22,000. I think, what was it, 22,000? Let's see real quick. Hold up. Yeah, violent crimes, 22,000 to 21,000. That's still a lot of crimes in DC. You know, if this helps cut it down by half, is this a positive thing? I think so, but at what expense? Like, what happens? What do we do? You know, what happens to get the crime down? So let's watch a couple more of these TikTokers, see if anybody has anything to say. Oh, they shooting. My boys got that loadout in DC. Let's see. Oh, we can't play that.
Starting tomorrow, there will be no more homeless people allowed in Washington, D.C. The president just made this post on social media announcing his plans for tomorrow, saying, "We're having a news conference tomorrow in the White House. I'm going to make our capital safer and more beautiful than it ever was before. The homeless have to move out immediately. We will give you places to stay, but far from the Capitol. The criminals, you don't have to move out. We're going to put you in jail where you belong."
How far
it's
is the
all
question?
going to happen very fast, just like the border. We went from millions pouring in to 0 in the last few months. This will be easier. Be prepared. There will be no Mr. Nice Guy. We want our capital back. Thank you for your attention to this matter. And it looks like he has already started deploying U.S. Secret Service and Customs and Border Protection officers. They were on patrol in a nightlife district last night in Washington, D.C. as part of President Trump's increased law enforcement crackdown on crime. Starting tomorrow, there will be no more homeless people allowed in Washington.
That's crazy.
Well, here is something you don't see often. ATF agents patrolling the streets of Washington, D.C. It is something you might start seeing over the next week or so. Why? Well, President Trump has ordered more than a dozen federal police agencies to beef up their presence around touristy parts of the city. Here is, for example, what we saw when we went to Union Station earlier this morning. You know, we've covered lots of stories at Union Station early in the morning. Police are here sometimes, yes, but I can tell you, having the lights on, flashing, just chilling here, staying in one spot, we don't see that often. There were several things announced by the White House yesterday. Check it out. For the next 7 days, and potentially longer than that, you can expect to see federal officers in marked cars patrolling what the Trump administration is calling high-traffic tourist areas and other known hotspots. We are not exactly sure what those hotspots are. By now, you know, several times this week he has threatened to take over Washington, D.C. We'll have to see how that situation evolves. But for now, one thing is for sure, if you're walking around the city, you may see more police than what you typically are used to seeing.
They do that here in Florida. They got cop cars everywhere, lights on, just chilling. Sometimes the cops in it, sometimes not. It's a deterrent. If it gets that bad, like, it's a deterrent. They did that during spring break. They locked down a bunch of streets you couldn't go through, and they put a bunch of cop cars everywhere.
The military has taken over D.C. This is all going down today, August 11th. Yesterday, in a Truth Social post, as you can see, Trump warned the homeless people. He said, get out immediately.
Yeah, we know. We already went over that.
We got some breaking news. Trump went to his Truth Social again before his press conference that's happening in about 20 minutes from now. And he said, Liberation Day in D.C., we are taking our capital back. Now, we're hearing that there have been troops that have been mobilized in D.C. Over the course of the night and, you know, this morning.
Yeah, we know, my bro. I want to see the issues.
Oh my God, bro. Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man? Get your ass on, boy. Bye. You get your goddamn ugly ass.
Okay. Let's actually look. I want to look up something different real quick just to see. Washington, D.C. Let's look up.
I'm almost speechless, right? Like, not only did they assault me and try to kick me in the head repetitively, they thought it was funny.
Kate Rios still struggling to find the words, days after coming under the attack in the middle of the afternoon.
I never thought it'd be 12:30 in the afternoon, 2 blocks from the FBI building, and that this would happen to me.
But it did. Rios says she was on her way to a date here at Teism on 8th and D Street Northwest Sunday when her weekend took a dangerous turn.
These girls came up to me, but they kind of boxed me in, so I was up against a brick wall, and they said, can we use your phone to call our mom? Instantly, I'm like shaking, and I'm like, sure, but I held my phone closer, and they knew I was scared. Immediately, they said, we ain't gonna do nothing to you, and then immediately, I'm down on the ground, like instant.
The teen attackers kicking her on the ground as they tried to steal her bag.
I yelled, hey, in the deepest voice I could, and they started walking away. They got into a slowly moving car, laughing.
Witnesses stopping the assault and calling 911, but D.C. police say that was just the beginning. Investigators say they believe the same girls are behind 5 other attacks across the district from Sunday to Monday afternoon. In some cases, the suspects using pepper spray on unsuspecting women before pulling their hair and beating them.
Sheesh.
For example, around 10:30 p.m. Sunday, police say a woman was attacked on the sidewalk just feet from her home here on Rhode Island Avenue Northeast.
They enjoyed it. They literally enjoyed kicking me in the head.
D.C. police say they have arrested a 15-year-old and she's now facing several charges for robbery and assault. But that isn't giving Rios much comfort.
I haven't been able to sleep at night. I just keep replaying it. I cannot believe this happened. Like, this is our nation's capital.
She says she's worried her attackers won't be held accountable because they're minors.
I'm just hoping when it gets to the court level that these girls get the appropriate charges.
The Trump administration is now using hundreds of federal...
The president has been very clear that he is going to take the action necessary to secure the city of Washington for the people who live here, for all the American people and all who visit here. It's our capital city. It is more violent than Baghdad. It is more violent than parts of Ethiopia, parts of many of the most dangerous places in the world. It's really shocking if you actually look at the graph that has been shown comparing parts of some of the most dangerous failed states in the world compared to D.C. D.C. is more violent, and so he's going to do what's necessary to make sure our nation's capital is safe for all Americans. Thank you.
As we speak, the president has ordered that the homeless population be removed from Washington, D.C. He cites crime as the reason for this, but D.C. crime is at its lowest in 30 years. And globally, the homeless, the unhoused.
Video from an employee shows the aftermath. Items scattered everywhere. Police say multiple items were stolen and an employee suffered a minor injury. Video from an employee shows...
Washington, D.C. is a crime-infested hellhole that federal government must take over.
Can't play that because of the music.
By cell phone video outside the Shake Shack near DuPont Circle Saturday evening. It appears to show several Shake Shack employees beating up a customer. Christian Dingus, the man at the center of it, says it started inside.
We went to the Shake Shack in DuPont, myself and a few friends and my partner, and we were waiting in line. It's like 45 minutes for our food.
He says he asked where the food was, and the response from an employee was what he termed as aggressive. He says his partner pulled him aside. Dingus says it was an effort to defuse the situation.
And there, like, he kissed me. And then, while that, another worker came up and was like, hey, you guys can't do that here. In which, at that point, when he broke us up, I just kind of, like, walked away. I didn't want to deal with it.
And he says he thought that would be the end of it. As his partner voiced his disapproval at what had just happened, he says a worker escorted his partner out the side door.
And continued confrontation outside, like against the wall.
Dingus says that's when he went outside. He says he stepped in between his partner and the worker. Another attempt to defuse the situation.
You know, at that point, like immediately, without a second, the worker just turned on me, started attacking me. And at that point, I think there might have been either 2 or 3 other workers as well. Threw me to the ground. I didn't fight back at all. Immediately just kind of went into the fetal position to protect myself.
Dingus says he doesn't remember how long the beating continued, but he does recall someone breaking it up and seeing a police cruiser nearby.
They didn't get involved until afterwards. I stood up and kind of looked at them and I was like, so what's going on? Like, what are we going to do?
They took information from Dingus and from people inside the Shake Shack. No one was arrested. They asked him if he wanted to go to the hospital, and he did, eventually. As for Christian Dingus, the bruises are still there, as is the pain. Some of it's emotional.
If we were a straight couple, we probably wouldn't have broken us up for kissing in the back of the restaurant.
Derek Ward.
My boy got a paycheck coming from Shake Shack.
Good morning. This is Commissioner Anthony Lorenzo Green, and it is like over 2 a.m. in the morning. I'm down here at 48th Street Northeast in Kane Place. President Trump and his Gestapo paid a visit to Deanwood tonight. Metro Transit Police and along with other police agencies shot at individuals on 48th Street. Thankfully, no one was hit, but there were 2 people detained. I'm still waiting for one of those individuals to be released. They've been holding him hostage in the alley in the neighborhood for a couple of hours now, and it's my understanding because he didn't do anything. He's an innocent bystander, but they decided to grab him and detain him. There were several police agencies out here: MPD, FBI, DEA, ICE, HSI, you name it. All the police resources you can name was out here in the community. Sheriff Row is still blocked off right now. So all the people that love to waste our tax dollars on all this police coverage in this city, let me tell you, a chunk of it is sitting right here in Deanwood doing nothing. So it's a shame that our community has to go through this in a city where everyone likes to pretend like this is something that just started happening when this president got in office. Feds been invading our neighborhoods for years. Deanwood is no stranger.
I don't get this. Yeah, talking about the police invaded the neighborhood, but people were shooting at each other. Of course they're gonna invade the neighborhood. Like, I don't.
To a long list of federal agencies coming into our community to start nonsense, and tonight is no different. The only difference is that the president made an announcement that he was doing this. So here we are, 2 a.m. in the morning, waiting for an individual to be released, so everybody can go to sleep and go about their business. Maybe one of the elected officials that serve on the council that get paid to serve us will speak up and say something. Maybe our mayor will speak up and say something. I don't really care. But what I do care about is the safety of the residents in my community, ensure that they are not being hindered, impacted, and harassed, targeted by any entity in this city whatsoever. Deanwood don't play that. We
Whatever.
Now listen, I'm gonna tell you now, to all y'all dudes that might find yourself going to federal prison in the near future, y'all definitely need to know who these dudes right here is, the Washington D.C. car. Now before I tell y'all about these wild ass dudes, I'm gonna first tell you the basic things that you need to know about them. Now first off, when it comes to the Washington D.C. car, they're most definitely the biggest and the deepest car in the whole BOP by far. Because I know most of y'all probably don't even know this about Washington D.C. If you catch a case in Washington D.C. alone, you're going to go federal, bruh. As long as you receive a sentence over a year and a day in prison. So I don't care if you receive a 3-year sentence in prison over.
Nobody care about
President Trump continues to direct his ire at cities run by Democrats for what he says is
Washington, D.C. is a crime.
Can't play the
Well,
music.
here is something you don't see often.
Yeah, we already saw that one.
Well,
Washington, D.C. will be liberated today.
So I'm about to fact check Trump's claims about Washington, D.C.'s crime rate. He just posted on Monday a press conference will be held at the White House, which will essentially...
Trump says he's taking over D.C., and are you surprised when you see city leaders acknowledge a man who was selling straight product on the district streets and gave him a 20-year recognition award a few months ago? Are you surprised? That's the thing. Don't act, oh, Donald Trump is so horrible, when you literally have allowed leaders in your city to give awards to men who have sold straight product and probably still have generations of addicts on this street right now. And your leader has just given this man a 20-year recognition award. See, and that's what we're not going to do. We're not going to keep on acting like we are so, offended by Donald Trump. But your leaders right now love criminals, love giving money to criminals. There
Facts.
are brothers in the District of Columbia that have lived legal lives, went to high school in the district, went to college, came back, running great programs, great men, and they can't be invested in. No, the district want to invest in the criminals, the ones that just came home from jail, the ones that unalive people on these streets. Those are the people that they want to give money to, okay, and want to call them interrupters. Whole time they might be starters. They might not be the violence interrupters. They might have been the violence starters. You need to go and find the people that actually didn't go out here and poison your community. You know, I'm all for second chances, but when it comes to a leader, these things need to be led by men that are of good spiritual backgrounds, of good legal backgrounds, and men that can go out here and teach these boys how not to fall into the pitfalls. Y'all out here invested in men that have already fallen into the holes. I don't need no man that done fell into the holes to come and teach my damn son something. I need the men that have avoided the holes to come and teach my son something. And that's why Donald Trump is taking over this city.
She makes a very good point. Very good point. And it's something that I had thought about before as well. I've voiced it in certain events that I've been a part of, where it's like we have this whole idea. We love the comeback story of the second chance. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of people who've made mistakes and have bettered themselves, and we need to hear their story for sure. But there's also people who come from those neighborhoods who never stepped in that hole, who avoided that hole and got out and were able to come back into the community and do positive things. Where is that example? That's the example we should be looking for. And instead of investing, you know, and I'm not saying don't invest in people who've misstepped and people who've found themselves on the other side of things. But what I'm saying is you definitely should invest in people who've shown to be able to be leaders, who've shown to be able to be given a situation, be given be handed, you know, a specific hand that's not very good and turn it into very good or very well, great, or whatever other synonyms you want to use. And that's really missing. Like, we're missing men like that, people like that in general. Just everything that's shown is always like, oh, look how bad this is, look how bad this is. Well, things didn't get bad over the last 6 months that Trump was president. This just had been like this. And it's like, when do we as a community realize that not only are we a part of the problem, but not saying anything and trying to love the culture that is black people is killing us, is murdering us. Like, it's crazy. Like, I don't get it. I'm not a part of that shit. Call it what you may. I'm all tatted. You know, I don't always use the best pronunciations. But I'm trying to live a good life. I'm trying to live a life where I don't have to look over my shoulder, where I could talk about some of the things that I've been through, because I can say, hey, I avoided this, I avoided that. And you rarely find things and people who want to help you. It's always the other way around. It's always the help that's out there is for a lot of people who've misstepped, which, again, I'm not saying don't help them either, but we got to figure out a better way of solving this issue, because it's only going to get worse. And then it takes somebody like Trump to come in and say some kind of aggressive shit, which is kind of messed up in some ways. And it's like, damn, it's not very appealing, I would say, to the ears. But when you think about it, Bukele did the same thing. Bukele went in his country and he said, yo, there's going to be people who are going to get wrapped up who aren't bad, but they're protecting those who are bad. So they're just as bad. Like, I agree with that. Like, yo, if you're doing something to worsen things, like, we got to figure out how to, you know, how to make these situations in some of these neighborhoods a lot better. And that's kind of what she's talking about. I agree with her.
So President Trump is reportedly preparing to deploy the National Guard.
I was just getting ready for bed to breaking news that the U.S. military is preparing to activate the National Guard in Washington, D.C. And of course, this is far from routine, so buckle up. This is not your average Guard call-up. So what's actually happening is that, according to Reuters, which just dropped, the Pentagon is prepping hundreds of D.C. National Guard troops for possible deployment. President Trump hasn't signed off yet, but this Guard is different. In D.C., the National Guard does not answer directly to the governor. It answers directly to the president. So that means that the president can activate them without any local approval. Mayor, city council, none of them involved, just him. And the stated reason is crime and homelessness. Trump has been talking about taking over DC and clearing homeless encampments and cracking down on crime, even though violent crime is actually down 26% from last year. So it doesn't really feel like this is actually about public safety. It feels a lot more about optics and control. So here are the big...
Do you live in DC? Have you ever been in a neighborhood, in the hood? Have you ever been to a ghetto? I'm on the bet she never has. That's another thing. You got a lot of people talking all that smack, ain't never been to the hood, ain't never lived in the hood, have never spent the night in the hood, never spent a part of their life in the hood. I have. I know how people are affected by this. How you can't go a step without being influenced, without having someone trying to influence you to do something negative, or without the immediate presence of just things that will ruin your life in one step, whether it's illicit drugs, whether it's illicit activity, regardless of what it is. Like, okay, crime's down 26%. We saw the numbers. Crime's down. Okay, 23,000 last year, 22,000 this year. That's down. That's what we toting. Like, that's crazy. That's insanity. Like,
Big red flags that this raises. One, civil liberties. The Guard is trained for military reasons, not for routine city police.
no, you're stupid. Again, National Guard is trained to deal with national emergency. That's why they're the National Guard. They're trained in not only riot control, but also anything that comes to natural disasters. And so part of their training is being able to dispatch a group of people from a particular spot. So what are you talking about?
Policing. Two, bypassing the local control is an issue because this is a direct federal policing over a city's own residents. And third, precedent. If this becomes normal, then any president could put troops in any U.S. city for any reason. So, of course, this is not the first time this has happened. We did see the D.C. Guard activated for Black Lives Matter protests in 2020, and the delay in activation on January 6th actually exposed how dangerous centralized control can be. And just this past summer, Trump did deploy the Guard troops to Los Angeles without the governor's consent, which is a move that changed that precedent as well.
Again, this is shit. The internet is crazy. First and foremost, for January 6th, the mayor was asked, and Nancy Pelosi was told, hey, we got troops that we can deploy, and they denied it. They were caught on tape. Why don't you talk about that? Like, that these are points that you could easily Google, number one. Number two, they've come out, but you continue to repeat these points that are just like, that's asinine. Like, why would you even, like, what? And in LA, the riots were getting out of control. Of course he had to dispatch the National Guard. What else would you do? People were burning down cars, burning down buildings, protesting, not letting regular citizens get to their job by getting in the way of traffic. Like,
so, man, it's just a lot to hear that the National Guard is being deployed in D.C. This feels very clearly about power. Of course, this is the MO of this president, and the precedent we set today very much will decide how that power can be used tomorrow.
Shut up. You sound stupid. Oh, we saw this video. We saw this video already.
All I want to do is clean up D.C. That's why the president put me here. And youth crime is on the rise. In the last 4 years, we've had 150,000 cases of youth violence. Okay, 4 years ago. Now it's close to 500,000 cases of youth violence. We've got D.C. as one of the highest murder rates in the country. So we can talk about crime going down, but going down from where? So,
that's a good point.
I mean, this is something that is a whole other issue. Today is about this indictment and making sure that if you intend to commit a crime of anti-Semitism or hate, we're coming for you.
So Donald Trump could potentially be
major breaking news.
I'm tired of these people. It's just crazy people on TikTok. Guys, it's a little bit of a longer one. My overall assumption, I know I said I was gonna start this to see what was going on. We're gonna figure out which way we're leaning. Crime is down for sure, but it's down from 22,000 to 23. From 23,000 to 22,000. That's 1,000 less crimes. We're only halfway through a year. It could easily get above that. Number one. Number two, 22,000 crimes in DC, which is crazy. That's a crazy amount. It's not even its own state. It's just a district. I think it has like 8 or 12 wards in it, if I'm not mistaken. I got to look that up to be exact. But regardless, there shouldn't be that much crime in that small of a place. And the fact that everybody's glossing over that is kind of scary in a sense. I wouldn't say I necessarily agree with dispatching the National Guard, but how else do you handle this besides a show of force? You know, anybody who's against crime should be for having some kind of repercussion for the things happening. You saw some of the news segments that we saw of people being attacked, of businesses being ransacked, the homeless issue and all the encampments in DC. Something's got to happen. I don't know if this is the best thing, but at least they're trying to do something, which is better than what we had in the past, which allowed this problem to get that bad. So my overall judgment call is I want to see what happens. I don't agree with everything, but I also don't immediately just disagree, and I don't immediately have a visceral or emotional reaction to the fact that there is crime, and there's a lot of crime. It's down, but it's down from where, like the congresswoman said. I believe that's the congresswoman, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, I want to know what you guys think. Drop a comment. This was a little bit longer live. You know, I want to let everybody know I appreciate a lot of support I've been getting recently. But there also is the issue of some of the shadow banning I've been getting. So if you watch the video, make sure you like. If you get a chance to share, I'd appreciate that as well. Definitely drop a comment. It helps out the algorithm and it shows it to more people. So without further ado, and until next time, we out of here.